This is the sound of a nation that still believes in faith, in family, in freedom. This is for the ones who punch the clock, pay their taxes, and still believe in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Living the American dream.
Brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
This is Saving the American Dream with Jim Martyr on AM 560. The Answer.
Well, happy birthday, America. We're still in our 250th year of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, even in Illinois. You're listening to Saving the American Dream with Jim Martyr and my co-host in studio.
I'm Gretchen Fritz. Hello to all my red meat eaters out there.
All right. This is Jim. I'm the Republican nominee for Congress in Illinois' 14th District, and I want to go to Washington to make sure faith, family, and freedom are alive and well, along with the American dream for our children and our children's children.
Amen.
I'm here with my co-host, Gretchen Fritz. How's it going, Gretchen?
Well, it's been a roller coaster week with the storms and the tornadoes.
you can say
but
that.
We made it through.
So we have a great guest we'll be bringing on the show in the second half. We'll be joined by State Senator, the Honorable Chris Balkema. He'll give us a lowdown and upside, downside, whatever side, what's going on in Springfield. So stay tuned for that. But right now we're going to kick off with another installment of our ever popular Lyin Lauren, a.k.a. Misinformation, Miss Underwood segment. Here's a clip to kind of get us rolling here.
We have to stay woke. Like, everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke.
So this is kind of where we're going to showcase the instances of my opponent, left of the squad, Lauren, also communist Lauren. You know, you look at her policies, how they roll out. You know, it kind of fits with her, right?
Absolutely.
Where Lauren looks you in the eye, right to your face, and lies. So here we go. We got the clips. Let's listen to this clip of Congresswoman Lauren Underwood and see if you can spot the 4 gigantic lies in her 40-second speech. That's a big lie.
People are coming into our community desperately seeking life-saving care because in some of those states, they are criminalizing women, trying to put women in jail for getting the health care they need, or they're trying to put doctors and nurses into jail for helping patients get the life-saving care that they need. Right now, 1 in 3 women across this country are living in a state that has enacted a partial or total abortion ban. It's half of Black women. We are seeing chaos and confusion in our hospitals, people being turned away while bleeding out during medical emergencies. And it doesn't have to be this way in the United States.
That's one lie every 10 seconds. Average.
Right. I mean, it's amazing. So let's break this down, right? So she says, people are coming into our community desperately seeking life-saving care.
Sure. That's one of the most common tropes about abortion is that we need it to save the life of the mother.
Right. So we asked ChatGPT to look into this, and what does it say? What percentage of abortions are considered life-saving to the mother? By the way, I mean, that highlights exactly what she's talking about. They aren't coming in here desperately seeking life-saving care. They're coming here to get free J.B. Pritzker, Illinois Democrat-funded abortions.
It's actually life-ending care.
Life-ending care on the backs of Illinois taxpayers.
Absolutely.
So she frames it as it's a crisis and all this other stuff, and it's not, right?
Right.
And this is what we're talking about. But so what's the answer on that, right?
Right. Well, so abortion is often, shrouded in secrecy. So there's not a lot of data out there, but in Florida they do have a category for abortion associated with a life-endangering physical condition. They separate that from other maternal health reasons. And so in Florida, in 2023, there were 251 such abortions that were supposedly to save the life of the mother. That comes out to 0.3%.
Yeah, out of 84,052 abortions, 251 were claimed to be saving the life of the mother, which is 0.3%. So,
right.
So big lie number one, boom, there you go. She's lying through her teeth on that one.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of experts say that most of the time, if a woman can't go through with a pregnancy, it's also really not safe for her to have an abortion. Like it's she's basically in danger either way.
Right. And there's a lot we could go on to that. But let's get to the next lie. Underwood's quote, trying to put women in jail for getting the health care they need. Or they're trying to put doctors and nurses into jail. Can we put Nurse Underwood into jail? For helping patients.
She doesn't actually practice, so she'd have to actually do something
qualify,
first.
Right? For helping patients get the life-saving care. So, how many women have been jailed nationally for an abortion? So, the answer is, for the period after Dobbs, right, pregnancy justice identified, and this is a far left, I don't think
it would
more
be
far left leaning than pregnancy justice identified, and they talk about birthing people instead of women.
Of course.
Identified 412 pregnancy-related prosecutions during the first 2 years after ruling, but only 9 cases actually involved allegations specifically pertaining to an abortion.
Wow.
Most of those were substance abuse or pregnancy-related cases. So 412 women prosecuted for an abortion would be incorrect, Lauren. And this was from your own group that you're citing. So these are, again, it's just like she's just making stuff up, right? It reports the 9 cases as in which abortion-related evidence appeared in the allegations, not 9 women specifically prosecuted for that. So, looks to me like only one of the 441 criminal charges were actually related to an abortion-related crime. So again, we're not throwing a bunch of people in jail. It's not happening. We're not even sure which state this was in. Probably not Illinois, since we are the abortion capital of the Midwest, thanks to J.B. Pritzker and the Democrats in Springfield.
Right.
So on to the next one. So what do we got here? The next quote.
1 in 3 women across this country are living in a state that has enacted a partial or total abortion ban.
So the question, again, to ChatGPT, give us a list of states with total abortion bans, no exceptions. Answer.
None.
Drum roll. None. As of 2026, no state has had an abortion ban with literally 0 exceptions. Every state with a abortion ban provides at least an exception intended to prevent the death or preserve the life of the woman who's pregnant. So, again, she uses language, total abortion ban if you're totally faithful to your wife doesn't mean really, right, with exceptions. Words have meanings, and no states have a total abortion ban, 0. She's lying to scare women into voting for her, and we think they're catching on to it. Are you willing to give up your freedom, your safety, your income, your well-being for your children and grandchildren and vote for Democrats just for a medical procedure you are very likely not to need? Actually, I wouldn't call it a medical procedure, but there you go. Because that's the baggage that comes with being a one-issue voter and pro-abortion. You'll give up your safety, your income, your rights as a parent, your privacy of your children, and the list goes on and on.
Absolutely. The next Underwood quote is, chaos and confusion in our hospitals, people being turned away while bleeding out.
Wow. So nationwide, again, ChatGPT, how many documented examples of a woman sent home while hemorrhaging because of an abortion was refused her? Drum roll, please. AP's review of the federal EMTALA investigations found more than 100 cases of pregnant patients receiving inadequate emergency care, but those cases involve many different problems and cannot be counted as abortion refusals or hemorrhages cases, right? 0 cases conclusively document every element of that exact claim. So this is a well-documented case that comes very close to the allegation. but I would phrase it carefully. So Sarah from Austin, Texas, she was miscarrying and bleeding profusely and was sent home from an ER twice without a DNC, and ultimately required blood transfusions to keep her from dying. Medical records support the events, but this was miscarriage management. It was not an abortion. The record does not establish that she requested an elective abortion. It was explicitly referenced as one. So again, here we go again. This is Lauren just totally fabricating the facts.
A lot of the Democrats that I've heard talking about abortion bans, they want to conflate a DNC procedure with an abortion. Those are two different procedures. They are not the same. DNCs are frequently performed after miscarriages. So that is a medical procedure that is commonly done after miscarriage. It's not the same thing as an abortion. And it's not elective either. I mean, it's something that a doctor will recommend that a woman does.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
Now, back to the show about faith, family, and freedom. You're listening to Saving the American Dream with Jim Martyr on AM 560. The Answer.
We're back with more Saving the American Dream. Just to review from our first segment, these are the lies and the fabrications that Lauren Underwood is saying about abortion. She said that people are coming into our community desperately seeking life-saving care. That's false. She said states are trying to put women in jail for getting the life-saving health care that they need. That's not happening.
Not true.
1 in 3 women across this country are living in a state that has enacted a partial or total abortion ban. That's a lie.
False.
And then lastly, there's chaos and confusion in our hospitals where people are being turned away while bleeding out. That is also completely not happening. There are 0 cases of that.
Right. There you go. So we have some concerned citizens within my district, Lauren's district, our district, who are in a grassroots movement to oppose something that's happening in Sheridan in LaSalle County. I'll let them tell you what that's all about, and it's going to fit in very well with the interview we had on our last show with special guest national security expert Frank Gaffney. So I want to welcome Michelle Peterson, my good friend, longtime friend to the show from Defend LaSalle. Tell us about what's going on.
Hi. Hey, Jim. Thanks for having me on. So there is a group called VAIRT, V-A-I-R-T, or V Resort Living, that is trying to purchase a former timeshare that was held by Holiday Inn out in Fox River Resort in Sheridan, Illinois. So this is a small rural community, farming community, and there's a small little township inside of Sheridan called Norway. So in Norway, there are about 89 people, I think, according to the last census, and this Fox River Resort is within that little community. And what they're wanting to do is change the zoning from being a commercial property where they were using a timeshare and wanting to make it a residential. So if it was residential, there are 42 units in there, ranging from a small studio up to a 2-bedroom townhouse. So we figured, based on all of the capacity there, they could potentially bring in about 2,000 to 3,000 people to live in that area. Now, this is a beautiful piece of property. It has a golf course on it. It has a swimming pool, like wave pool type of a thing there. And then it also has an area that was like a main little area that they could go to if you had, events or things like that going on there. That this company was wanting to make that area a mosque within the community. So when they were actually putting through their flyers initially, it said that it was going to be a faith-based community, Muslim faith-based community, and it would have halal financing. Now, we all know that halal means that they are following Sharia law financing. So they are actually enriching themselves, and the money that goes into that halal financing would actually be going back to places such as the Muslim Brotherhood and things like that, which we now know has been designated as a terrorist organization. So These are some concerns that we have, and concern about just infrastructure, right? You bring 2,000 people into a community of 89. There's only one road going completely around the property. And in the winter, part of that road gets closed down going one way out of there. So there'd only be one way to come out of that area if there was an emergency in the wintertime. This would also cause an increase of strain on the municipalities, such as fire, police, the hospitals in the area, things that we're all looking into, that this would cause undue strain into that community, which is our biggest concern. The other thing, too, is that it would destroy probably the roads. We were looking into what they would have to increase the law, as far as police force, fire, and put in new street lights, things like that, to make it so it would be safe for that area with that many people coming in at one time. So those are the main concerns we had initially. And then once we started digging into this company, we realized that they bought this property at auction in 2024 and put down earnest money. They never closed on this property. They were supposed to close somewhere around July 9th, but that never happened. And what they were doing was promoting this as if they already owned the property. So they were promoting selling fractional shares of the property through halal financing to their community, right? And that is an SEC violation because they don't own that property, so they cannot be marketing it as if they do. They also were trying to do an open house, which is what alerted most of us in the community that this was going on. And that open house could not also be done because they don't own the property. So a bunch of concerned citizens got together and we started digging into this a little bit and found that it was an SEC violation, sent that information to the Illinois SEC as well as the federal SEC and to Holiday Inn. So Holiday Inn is now suing VERT for their earnest money because they violated the contract. So right now it's tied up in litigation. Doesn't mean they're going to stop looking for property in the area. There is a Girl Scout camp that's there, not too far away from this property, that is also for sale. So they're going to keep looking for property in that area. One of the other things we found is that the man who is the CEO of this, his name is Jamil Shakura. So we found out that he is most likely not a U.S. citizen, is here on an H-1B visa. So as far as federal law, so there's a CFIUS Act, which means that people who are not U.S. citizens cannot buy investment property within 25 miles of critical infrastructure. Critical infrastructure would include places such as active military bases, which we have in Marseilles. We have an active duty National Guard military base. Also, they can't be within 25 miles of places such as nuclear power plants, and this is within 25 miles of LaSalle Nuclear Station, which has 2 nuclear reactors. So we did file a complaint with the DOJ as well, based on that information that we were able to find.
Excellent.
The other thing that this guy is doing, he also has another company where he is actually, it's called The Migrant. So he's showing other people who are Pakistani Muslims how to come over here on an H-1B visa and showing them how to use our law to do that. So there's a huge problem here with all of this, but we, in addition to the property in Sheridan, we've connected him to a property in Colfax, Iowa, Peoria, Illinois, and another place in Pennsylvania. The place in Pennsylvania is, I think, within 60 miles of Camp David. It's also within that critical infrastructure 25-mile range of 3 Mile Island. The one in Peoria is within 25 miles of 4 different military installations, and the one in Colfax, Iowa is within 25 miles of 3 different military installations. So all of that information got sent to the DOJ, and I also have a contact at the Department of Homeland Security that was sent to as well. So we are very concerned about what is happening with just the infrastructure, an influx of that many people, of course, safety with the CFIUS, and then also with the SEC violations. So that's all on top of just, we're worried about Sharia law coming in, which is the complete antithesis of our Constitution. So that's what we're concerned about. That's where we're at right now. We have a huge grassroots movement. And you might see if you drive through there's some signs that say one nation under God, which again goes back to our Constitution and our biblical foundation with our founding documents.
So thank you for that. I mean, it's amazing what you guys found out, what's going on there.
Sounds like you're doing excellent work.
Yeah. So one quick question, but then I got to get you back to the website because we're running out of time in the segment. But you said he's here on an H-1B. So I work in an industry where there's a lot of H-1Bs, and they're very educated professionals. They actually have jobs in industry, technical jobs and things like that. So what's this guy's H-1B criteria? Why is he here on an H-1B? And do you guys know anything about that? Maybe that's
about 30 seconds.
Yeah, so he's actually here doing investments, and so he's doing jihad through investments and using the banking system to take us out that way. So that's what his whole baseline is. There's also a boot camp that's connected to this property, not too far away, so we're kind of working on that too, but it's a Muslim boot camp.
Seems to me like H-1Bs shouldn't be used for that purpose, don't you think? Anyway.
That's correct.
Website.
Yeah, can we get the website for people to look at all your information?
Yep, so it's defendlasalle.com, and we have a bunch of information on there that they can look us up.
Thank you so much, Michelle. It's fascinating, and you're doing excellent work. Don't go anywhere. We're going to come back with more Saving the American Dream with Jim Martyr. Stay right here on AM 560.
Gretchen Fritz.
This is AM 560, The Answer.
If you love life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, you're in the right place. More of Saving the American Dream with Jim Martyr on AM 560, The Answer.
So we're back here with Saving the American Dream with myself, Jim Martyr, and Gretchen Fritz, and she has a guest to introduce right now.
Yeah, we are so excited and pleased to have Illinois Republican State Senator Chris Balkema with us today. He worked for 31 years at Caterpillar. He had leadership roles in human resources, logistics, purchasing. Then he went on to be the chairman of the Grundy County Board. And he is currently serving the Illinois State Senate in the 53rd District. So welcome, State Senator Chris Balkema.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
So I've heard you speak of some things, and we have this thing in Springfield that's kind of insider speak known as the super minority. Can you kind of give us the situation of that in Illinois with the Republican Party versus the Democrats, and what does that mean, and do we have a chance to fix it?
Yep. So historically, as you said, I was at Caterpillar for 31 years. So I love the company, great company, lots of wonderful companies in Illinois, and responsible for making a profit and providing high quality products in this case. But companies all across Illinois are responsible to provide good quality services and products. And I jumped on a school board in 2008 when my property taxes were too high and thought I'd take a crack there and made some good headway. It was then on Grundy County Board, and we actually reduced the levy, not just the rate, but the actual tax levy 4 years in a row. And things were going very well in Grundy County. So I thought, how hard can the state be? So let's give it a shot. So I got sworn in January 25. And yeah, I'm a Republican, so it's a very conservative district, and I definitely vote in the manner upon which the constituents want me to in my district. And yes, it's a what we call super minority. So there's 59 senators in the district, in the state. There's 118 in the House, and so there's 19 Republicans at the moment, and there's 40 Democrats, so 59. So every vote or every bill that gets passed out of the Senate needs 30 votes. So obviously stuff has to get passed in a bipartisan support. And it's always hard when you're not the party in charge. I went to a conference a couple weeks ago, and I was with state legislators from 11 other states. And I sat next to for one of the events, I sat next to a person that was in the super minority Democrat in Indiana. And she and I commiserated on, how hard it is in both of our positions, although we're on the opposite sides of the aisle. So it's always hard when you're not in control. But the nice thing about Illinois is there is so many opportunities. We finished in 2025 at $1.2 trillion gross domestic product in total. So that means all the goods and services produced in Illinois totaled $1.2 trillion. That's the fifth largest in the nation. So it's the fifth largest in the nation, and that is while Illinois has only grown at 7% over the last 6 years. Indiana's grown at 15%. Iowa's grown double digits. Everybody else around us has grown more. So everybody understands that we need to grow, and we are not. We've got too many rules and regulations in place, and energy costs are the number two things I hear from large and small businesses. So I am working on facts and data and legislation that we will promote to the 13 million people of Illinois, and we need to move Illinois in the right direction, regardless of party. And so while I was on the Grundy County Board, most of the board meetings you would go into, you wouldn't know who was a Republican, who's a Democrat, because we just roll up our sleeves and got things done. I am very excited to do the same thing for Illinois, because we're at a tipping point where we need to move in the right direction in terms of lowering property taxes. We're the highest in the nation, tied with New Jersey right now. We have energy opportunities to reduce energy costs. We have a huge economics opportunity. So I'm very excited to move the ball forward with facts and data, with my Democrat colleagues, to get things done for Illinois. They're going to make Illinois a great place to live.
So we'll be coming up on a break quick. Before we get there, I'm going to tee up some questions for thought, see which ones you can tackle when we come back. So failing schools, safety in our streets, the Unsafety Act. What about, I've been at meetings at Yorkville City Hall, Plano, about farmland being lost to solar farms, data centers, citizens taxed out of our home. We all know people that have out-migrated. So those are some of the things I'm thinking about. Gretchen, you have anything else?
Well, we're definitely going to talk about your body of work and possibly doing a tax cap, maybe passing petitions to help get out the vote, and maybe even closing how the Democrats want to close so many power plants in the state. We are coming up on a break here. We just have a few seconds left. So I will promote the Martyr for Congress website, martyr4congress.com, for releases, issues, how to volunteer, and how to donate. Coming up, we'll continue our conversation with State Senator Chris Balkema on Saving the American Dream with Jim Martyr and Gretchen Fritz right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Freedom isn't free. You have to work for it. Now, more of Saving the American Dream with Jim Martyr on AM 560, The Answer. Here's Jim.
We're going to pick up where we left off with State Senator Chris Balkema. We have some things on our mind. What about property taxes, data centers, energy cost, and some wrap-up thoughts on that super minority situation?
Yep. So I am one of 19 Republican senators in a 59-person body. So there's 40 Democrats, and getting out of the super minority is actually, surprisingly enough, a very good thing that obviously the Republicans like, but in a lot of conversations with Democrats, they think so too, because having a little bit more balance of power allows, number one, more of the folks to vote the reflection of their base. So there's a lot of conservative Democrat sections of the state that are much in line with a Republican theology. And so having that balance, moving back to a 55-45% type of thing, obviously getting to a Republican majority would be wonderful. So you know how you do that. You get out and vote. And so this election in November, we could change that. Anybody could come out and change that if enough people that voted their conscience and went to the polls to sign up and voted on Election Day. We could flip the whole doggone thing. So
right. It's
easier
all about
said than
turnout.
done, but out of the 12.7 million people, 13 million people in Illinois, I think there's a vast majority of people that would agree that the conservative approach is going to be very good for Illinois.
So tell us what is on the horizon for property taxes if we can make some change, if we can set the direction in a new direction.
Yep. If we look to our east at Indiana and look far to our west at California, Indiana, California, would we a lot of times use those two states in the same sentence that represent something that's like-mindedness? Well, in this case, yes, because both have property tax caps in place. And so I'm working on legislation, and we will introduce that this fall to put some property tax caps in place for Illinois. And we are doing that with our eyes wide open so that we're talking to schools, municipal league, all the 1,294 cities and towns in Illinois. We don't want to catch anybody off guard with language that gets filed. We want to put it in place. So the way it would work is you take the percent of your of the tax amount that you write a check for to pay your property taxes, and then divide that out by the cost of your home. We would like to start at around a 3% cap and get down to a 1% cap. Now, before you say, "Oh, what are you going to do? How are you going to fund everything?" We are interested in slowing the rate of growth. So right now in 2024. If you go out to SenatorChrisBalkema.com, by the way, and go under Data Hub to the top right, you'll see all this information I'm referring to. But in Illinois in 2024, we collectively brought in $39.7 billion, almost $40 billion of property taxes. And if we were to institute the caps that we are modeling right now and looking at, we wouldn't drive, lay off schools, teachers, lay off. We would just slow the rate of increase to something that's much more manageable and digestible. So we're putting that data together, and we're going to drive with facts and data, and we want to get there's 6 million parcels in Illinois. So there's every parcel or homeowner or your parcel of land has a PIN number. And if you go to your assessors and treasurer's websites in most counties, you can see your tax bill and what you paid in details. So we want to put together the website. That's next to Data Hub on the far right is property tax, a heat map that we have. We're going to get that set up to where every parcel owner can go out and say, well, what if we pass this tax bill? What would that do to my tax bill for the future years? And so we're going to lay all that out. But it is if Indiana can do it, a very conservative state, and California can do it, a very progressive state. Absolutely, Illinois can do it, and we need to get our property taxes back in line and out of being the number one right now, tied with New Jersey at 1.88% statewide.
So we want to, that was great, but we want to hop in. We don't have a lot of time, but energy costs, data centers, are they related? What's going on there?
Yep. So let me ask this question at the beginning. That's a bit of a loaded question, but it's also very powerful. So New York just passed the data center moratorium. Now, what if the other 49 states followed suit and said, we don't like data centers either. Let's not build anymore. So what if in the future all of our data centers, all of the new data center growth was built in China or Europe? Would that be good for America if our data all resided on servers in China?
Probably not.
I don't think that would be good. And so it's not that data centers are bad. When people say your data's in the cloud, well, it's really not in the cloud. The only thing that's in the cloud is the carbon that people don't like and oxygen. So the data centers hold all the data. So it's good strategic military position for us to have data centers in the United States. Now, where they get located, yes. So people say, I don't want them in my backyard, and that's totally understandable. The power consumption factor is a big, real point that the water is not. I think most water, the closed-loop systems are being used, like the car radiator on your car. And so the new data centers don't consume water. but we've got a lot of opportunity to talk about the energy and why that's so high, perhaps in the next break.
Okay, well, we are out of time. More faith, family, and freedom when we return with Jim Martyr and Saving the American Dream right here on AM 560, The Answer.
There's things to be done all over the world, but let's rebuild America first.
You love this country. So do we. You're listening to Saving the American Dream with Jim Martyr on AM 560, The Answer.
So we're back with Senator Chris Balkema to wrap up on his thoughts.
Yeah, the wrap up on data centers. They are a hot, heavy subject. They need to be put in the right spots. And we need to get our power back where we don't close down coal and close down natural gas, but we need to let those entities run. That means walking back part of the CEJA Act that was passed. So I am working hard on legislation to do that. We need to have enough power to run the data centers, have them located in the right spots, and allow our data to be in the United States, not in overseas countries, but managed well. And I'm excited to be a part of that solution.
Right. You know, and you're very much actually in alignment with me on that too. I'm an IT guy, folks. So I've been where we built data centers from the ground up. Back in the day when one conference room, can be held on your cell phone right now for data. But so for me, it's real simple. Not on farmland, cropland, prairie land, or forest land. We have plenty of industrial, death zones around Illinois that could be repurposed for that, and lots of commercial real estate. So, and while you're at it, you can slap the solar panels on top of those new data center buildings as you're building them. Why not, right? So let's get that done. Thank you for being on with us. In the 14th Congressional District, that's my 7 counties that Lauren Underwood currently occupies as the representative in Washington. We're going to fix that in November. Ottawa debate days are coming up next weekend. Unfortunately, not a single Democrat accepted the nonpartisan groups, the Ottawa Chamber of Commerce and the City of Ottawa, who's actually mostly managed by folks of the other party, and they turned them all down cold. They wanted to have some debates between some of the big candidates, myself and Representative Lauren Underwood, Don Tracy and his opponent. JB, of course, declined and wouldn't come either. So you've got the Democrats hiding. Mine specifically is probably hiding out in San Francisco or New York lately. Every once in a while she flies in for a town hall. So those are the things that we're going to see her around in the district at a few of those and do some straight up rebuttals. But more guests on some shows coming up. We're going to have one of my fellow Republican nominees, Christian Maxwell, for Congress. We'll have Ground Zero chaplain Steve Lee coming up on the 25th anniversary of 9/11, and of course more rants from me and Gretchen.
I was loaded for bear today, and they told me I had to hold it.
Yeah, we're going to do that one next show. So we're going to hit the Second Amendment pretty big next time. What do you think?
I'm looking forward to it.
So also coming up, for those of us in the Republican Party, you have the Illinois State Fair, and there's a day designated for each party at the State Fair, if you don't know it. Mm-hmm. Republican Day is coming up next week. I will be there. And, if you're part of the group, come on down. It's a great day. You can meet with a lot of the folks that are running to represent you in your districts around the state and even the statewide candidates. Lots of shaking hands and kissing babies, I'm sure. There you go. So make sure you're following us on all of our social media, Martyr, 4 Congress, everywhere. Website, martyrforcongress.com. And you can sign up to get on our email list and know what's going on. And anything you can do to get out there and vote. As Senator Balkema said, this is going to be a turnout election. We can flip this seat, the 14th. We can flip a bunch of other ones.
Yeah, what we can do when we turn out is going to be amazing. Wait and see. If you want to help the campaign, we need donations. But come back next week with Saving the American Dream with Jim Martyr and me, Gretchen Fritz.